Let's talk about the OG dungeons of Raid Shadow Legends. We've got the Ice Golem, the Spider, the Dragon, the Fire Knight. Many of the top players in the whole game, many of the top content creators you guys might know and love in the game are saying these are relics of the past. I don't really think so. I think at least for the vast duration, most people will play this game, if not the entirety. And I've got an expert right here, maybe the best free-to-play player in the entire world. We've got Boozer. How you doing, man? Let's talk about this. What's up? What do you think?
Hey, Fast. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's a good topic, and I think we had some fun discussion just off camera here. Good to hear the thoughts of a newer player and newer experience, and obviously I can share my own thoughts about more late game, more end game player. About these dungeons. So let's jump right into it.
Yeah, let's get into it. I figure we cover a pretty interesting range of gameplay experience, time played, moments in our main account we're in. If anyone doesn't know, Boozer's links will be in the description in the top pinned comment. Probably my singular most watched channel in Raid right now. Amazing tips and an incredible journey because 100% free to play and 100% dominance. So you've kind of taken the whole game from the beginning to the actual end game, or nearly getting to the very end of that end game. And here I am, I played accounts deep into what used to be the end game back in my day, but I'm new now. I'm doing my little spending, and it's day 69, so there's a long way to go. So I think we both have some interesting impressions. And cool thing, you might have noticed, 25,000 diamonds. Has this guy been spending, or has he been spending? Actually, this account hasn't been spending at all. We're not on my account. We're on Boozer's incredible endgame free-to-play account. Look at that, almost 27 million account power. Fantastic. So shall we head into this and kind of break this conversation open?
Yeah, sounds good, man.
All right. So I'm not going to name names, but I've seen content creators lately really poo-poo the dungeons, our accessory dungeon and the spider. And then certainly what I really want to focus on in this video are artifact dungeons, the Ice Golem's Peak, the Dragon's Lair, and the Fire Knight's Castle. Though I think maybe we can start here even and work our way backwards. I think there probably is a promised land that we all aspire to reach in Raid Shadow Legends that I would think you've reached. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Where like, yes, you don't really care about traditional gear anymore, and you can focus on what's coming from Centranos, what's coming from Hydra, this, that, and the other. I think it takes a long, long time to get there. So when people are giving this advice saying these OG dungeons are crap, I think it's pretty short-sighted in terms of understanding what the average player experience is like, because I would think this takes years. What would you say, Boozer?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Personally, when people ask me that as well, I say energy spent into dungeons. You definitely don't spend as much in the late game, but there is definitely still reason to do so. So I think in the early game, these dungeons are incredibly important. Obviously, they're one of your main sources of gear. Specifically Dragon, you're going to be more progressed in Dragon versus the other dungeons, mainly because Dragon just allows for more variations of teams. It's a little bit easier to go through. It also gives you more relevant gear. For example, Lifesteal in the beginning is actually pretty good. It also gives you speed gear and accuracy gear. So these are really good because they're actually two-piece sets. That's a big difference between the other sets. The two-piece sets are just easier to slap together onto builds and just make them work. The speed set in particular still has relatively good value, even compared to today's endgame sets and all that. Some of my fastest champions still rock a speed set. Getting through all these early stage dungeons, for example, Dragon, Spider is really important. Obviously, getting the accessories, especially the first ones for each faction or each character that you have, is very, very important. Obviously, we've all struggled to get that accuracy banner, for example, on your Kale when you're starting out. It's a pain in the butt, or that crit damage amulet. It just takes forever, but Spider's important. I would say the least important one, at least in the beginning, is probably Ice Golem. 4-piece sets, you actually get less silver from these sets as well. The life set and offense set is not as good, and the defense set is not as good as a 2-piece versus the speed and accuracy sets. So also we have the Fire Knight, which is really, really good. Obviously some more end game sets there with the Savage, the Ignore defense. Also you have regeneration gear, which is really good for like solo champions, but usually in the beginning you don't really think about gearing out your solo champion for dungeons just yet. So Fire Knight takes a little bit of a backseat, at least in the beginning. So in the beginning, like the early and the mid game, you're basically spending a ton of energy into these dungeons, basically to get your champions up to speed so that they can keep farming better gear in these dungeons. Eventually, once you start getting the ability or teams to basically 100% farm these high levels and then obtain the gear, you start looking to progress in other areas. So you start pushing the gear in other areas on your champions. You start moving up Doom Tower. Doom Tower also gives you gear, crafting materials. And Doom Tower can yield you some of the best gear around. So Guardian gear from the Griffin is actually pretty decent. It's kind of a watered down regeneration set with 10% healing, but it does give you ally protection. You also have the super powerful lethal set. So it comes once every 3 months from the Dark Fae, and that is the best set from the Doom Tower rotation, all the rotations. And it's a better set than Savage. And basically what happens is once you can fully farm that, every 3 months, you're basically looking at about 250 crafts. 250 crafts every 3 months. So if you can imagine yourself getting, 70, 80, maybe about 80 pieces of 5 or 6 star Savage gear a month. If you think about it that way, that's how much you can get from doing Dark Fae once every 3 months. So most people probably don't get 80 Savage pieces a month. But they might get 250 lethal pieces every 3 months.
So I think because we talked a decent bit before this, just to share our thoughts and to bring it home now on camera, I think we are in agreement that obviously that's the better thing that you want, right? You want that lethal, but I think it's important to talk to the viewers about how long it actually takes to get there. Because what you're describing is getting to a point where obviously this lasts 29, 30 days. And you get to a point where you can, the first 11 days, bum rush to the very top of Dark Fae, and you're on hard, and then you're just perfectly farming, all your silver keys 15 times a day for the remaining, whatever it is, 19 days or something, right? 18, 19 days. I think that's something that doesn't take forever to get there, but it takes some actual time. So yes, you'll reach a point where, let's call it 250 for easier math, as you said, you're able to have that many lethal pieces that are forgeable from perfectly efficient farming. So that's 1,000 pieces a year. However, when you're lower than that, yes, you might do some Dark Fae at 80 or Dark Fae at 40, but for a lot of people, that's going to be a lot less appealing, certainly at 40. And when it comes to the normal tower, it doesn't even compare, right? So it's actually going to take the average person, especially depending on their roster, their speed of progression, a very long time. You're talking a year plus, maybe 2 years plus, maybe longer than that before you reach that critical turning point where it's like, you know what? I don't care if it's 3x Savage. We were talking about this with you. Like, you kind of are at that point where you've got enough Savage and none of it's really comparing to how much good lethal you have built up over the years. But it has been over the years, right? So maybe you want to speak to that, how yes, it's this amazing broad picture wisdom. But, for a lot of people, especially people, let's be honest, if you're watching my channel, or maybe even if you're watching Boozer because you're looking for free to play advice and stuff, you might not have been playing this game for that long. And for all we know, you might not even end up playing the game long enough for that to matter. So if you're focusing on some crazy future that you'll never even reach, you're just having less fun and progressing less in the present, right?
100%. No, that's really true. What I'm describing is pretty late game, end game kind of stuff where you're basically at the top of the Doom Tower, basically without missing a day. It's not reaching the top of Doom Tower in a month.
Exactly.
It's reaching the top of Doom Tower in 10 days or 11 days. So you don't miss a beat. You get the maximum farm time at the top of the Dark Fae Tower. And honestly, this would probably take a dedicated player at least probably 2 years. I would say probably at least 2 years. I would say no, this would be a no spending type of account. If you're a spender, you're obviously going to have a stronger roster and probably get there a lot faster. But yeah, this is tough. It's a tough situation. And up until this point where you can actually replace your gear with good lethal gear, it's you're going to be looking for ignore defense sets like Savage in the Fire Knight, and that's where a lot of your energy is going to go. Fire Knight, and then you're going to be looking for speed because speed is king. So you're going to be looking for triple speeds in Dragon. It's hugely relevant, and even when you start farming Dark Fae, like I said, it comes once every 3 months. So you're still spending your energy while you're farming Dark Fae in these dungeons still. So it's a long grind. It's a long grind. I'm not going to lie, but eventually these dungeons, the energy spent on these dungeons will come down a little bit. For the vast majority of people, it's going to take years to kind of wean yourself off the energy from going into these 4 basic dungeons in the beginning. So
Yeah, I think it's a great way to put it. And that's kind of, I just want to do like a reality check kind of video here. Like you hear like your favorite creator, like again, we don't need to name anybody. You hear some of the biggest people, some of the best players, maybe people you're seeing on Discord saying, oh, it's trash, just ignore it, never farm Ice Golem. And like, yeah, is it the most niche? Is it the most specific? Sure. However, it's a lot easier for those people to say never do it because they've been playing for years at a high level and they already have, 3 or 4 amazing provoke sets or curse sets and reflex, maybe even retaliation. It's like, yeah, that's niche stuff. And once you've built it up over time, you don't need to go back and get even more. But it's going to take everyone a long time, especially with a less desirable dungeon like this. A key thing I want to go in on here, and I think Lethal, and I'm glad we started with Lethal and Savage, because I think it's probably the easiest for people to visualize, because Lethal, if anyone doesn't know, Lethal is a strict upgrade. Wholly strict upgrade, right? Just to bring it home for any newer players. Let me move myself out of the way here. You can see Savage is a 4-piece set and has a singular effect, a singular, very powerful effect, but ignore 25% of the defense, which is kind of king for a DPS in this game. If we go to Lethal over here, which very cool, you're stocked up on this, amazing. I also can't believe how many charms you have, my God. But here, it's the exact same thing, right? The same effect, and there's an additional effect, plus 10% crit rate. Might not seem like much to players, but that lowers your crit burden immensely, which means, oh, that's probably another substat on some piece that can go towards crit damage or a main stat or tankiness or speed, right? So that's pretty an easy one-to-one to understand. I think something more abstract, and yes, I think everyone knows it's a turn-based gacha, it's a turn-based RPG. Speed is going to be king in these games, but I think it's hard to overstate how long this will be important. So I think at the very end of this video, I want to take a quick peek at some of your champions just to see who's still in any of these OG sets. I think people just generally are going to be blown away by your builds, as I always am when I'm watching you. The thing with speed, for anyone that's not into statistics or something, I think maybe Boozer, you and I can explain this well to them. The amount of quantity you need with the crappy rates to roll things well in this game, to hit triples and ideally quads, and maybe if you're lucky, that 1 or 2 times you get a quad on a red roll, right? To get that, the thousands, the tens of thousands, the hundreds of thousands of runs and drops it will take is so immense. And you'll just, unless you have the best luck in the game, it will take you so long to catch up with your other gear that you can't just farm on 3x whenever it pops up every other week or whatever it is, right? If we talk about something that I think is quite underrated, we talk about impulse gear, kind of a cool thing, a strict upgrade, right? Speed set gives 12%, impulse gives 12%, just like the Savage to Lethal comparison. And then we get an additional effect, kind of like a mini reflex set. That's so good. But here you are, you're an amazing live arena player, especially for a fleeter player. You are a god tier live arena player. And this impulse gear, just at a glance, is looking great, but it's not going to look anything like your speed gear, right? Because you just cannot get as much. The sheer quantity will never keep up. And by the nature of the bad rates, the quality in turn will not keep up. Do you agree with that sentiment?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I've been playing this game on 2 accounts for over 4 years on each. So, 4.5 years on one, 4.25 on one. And across both my accounts, I've only ever rolled 1 quad speed on speed set roll. So I have tons of triples. I've only have 1 quad. I know somebody told me back in the day that it takes about 216 level 16 rolled items for you to get 1 quad. I think statistically that's how it works.
Yeah, you can do the math, right? So you need the first initial stat to roll is a 1 out of 4, and then you have to have that happen again, right? So you just it's that multiplicative thing. So yeah, I mean everything would be 1 out of 256. It would sound right, because it'd be 1 out of 4, then 1 out of 16, 1 out of 64, 1 out of 256. So you can kind of get the picture, and then and hopefully that quads on like the other subsets are relevant too. Obviously with speed, you'll just take it or whatever. But I think here this kind of can take our point home. Just look at the amount of speed you still have on your account. I would think this is probably one of your most owned sets, right?
Yeah, definitely one of the most owned OG sets.
Yeah, fair. Yeah.
Yeah. I keep pretty good examples, not too many like subpar examples, but if I did, it'll be just way more. Some of the sets that are really good for I guess early players that actually don't cost any energy is perception. I have tons of perception gear. It's just so useful. Again, a 2-piece set you just jam into jam into builds, and speed and accuracy always very good. I have tons of this.
Yeah, beautiful.
Different variations of stats.
Kind of a very quick tangent because you've mentioned it a couple times, and I just think it's such a good tip. I just want to articulate it clearly. You guys have heard Boozer talk about 2-piece sets. It's because you're going to have so many good 4-piece sets when you do reach the end game. Having just a nice 2-piece to fill in the gap, it's such a punch up on a build.
Yeah, in the beginning, you're going to be hard pressed to find good examples of some of the sets you don't find in dungeons just because your account's not progressed enough. Like, for example, if you don't do a lot of live arena, you're not going to get a lot of good impulse gear, for example. If your account's not progressed enough, it's not going to get a lot of lethal gear. It's not going to do super well in Centranos. Like, you might be able to do some of the normal, maybe some of the early stages of hard, and then pick up maybe like 5-star merciless gear. But 5-star merciless gear is probably going to still fall short to most people's 6-star savage gear. So it's going to take you a while. But eventually you will get to the point where energy will not go into those dungeons anymore, and your gear focus will be coming from basically free areas. Hydra chests, Centranos, and then Doom Tower. Those are, and then that's and also Siege. Siege,
you're gonna get Siege too. Gear.
Yeah, Siege, you're gonna get some good
gear
too. Look at that!
It's so much. You're in a good clan. Yeah. Look at that. Only mythical feral gear. That is fun. Yeah. So I think the big takeaway, because we don't want this video to run too long, is like, don't think like your best friend lied to you, or your clan leader lied to you, or your favorite CC lied to you. It's all true. That there is that point. There is that tipping point where everything's going to change for your account, where it's going to be like those free crazy sets, the time gated ones, the things that also are kind of, when you say pretty cool equalizer among Krakens and free to plays, because you can only farm, you farm as much lethal as someone that spends $100,000 a month, right? It's the same thing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so there is that to look forward to. But the point I wanted to drive home, and I was very happy to invite Boozer on, and was very happy that you joined. I want to drive the point home that it's just going to take a while. For a vast majority of players, we're talking 95, 99% of players. This is going to be something way ahead that you're looking forward to down the road. You can see, obviously it does happen. But yeah, like if I can just show once again, it's like if you just say, why would I farm speed gear? Because I'm just going to start getting impulse gear and it's better. I mean, you can just see it here. I actually checked your account. It looks like you have only one impulse speed boots on the whole account. And this is like a very amazing account, a very amazing live arena player. So I just think it's like, yes, intellectually you're like, oh, well, this is greater than this. The inequality, impulse beats speed. But when it comes down to the fact that, do you even want to try to break your head trying to think how many times you've run Dragon over the past 5 years?
Yeah.
A million times or something. So yeah. So yeah, it's pretty, that's basically the gist of what I wanted to show. If you don't mind, I was thinking maybe I could click through a couple of your characters and just give people a sense of what it looks like with the gearing eventually. So we can see so far, lots of not traditional gear. Here's some crazy merciless build. This Rhodos must be a god. So definitely there's a top one, but here we go. I'm assuming you probably use CF a lot in arena, and like, yeah, it's just the one. It's that fill in the gap 2-piecer, but we've got just some amazing speed gear, right? And you're still making great use out of that, I would think.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't use a lot of the traditional dungeon gear anymore. Like you said, a lot of the gear comes out of it is basically stuff that we don't spend energy on to get. But you have to spend energy to get into a position.
To get to that point. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just kind of the thing. It's just like, you can't go from A to X or A to Z. Like there's a million little steps that you have to get there. Like this Rhodos used to be in Savage, I'm sure, right?
In random pieces probably.
Yeah, or a pretty broken set. And then you had some perfect Savage with like a nice speed set to boot. And then all of a sudden, yes, you look and it's been 4 years and your account's God tier and your free to play Rhodos looks like this, of course. So I think that's just like a key thing for people to keep in mind. So this is like your promised land. It will come, but you're going to have to be patient, right? And you're going to have to, even in the very end, you'll still lean on a couple of this. So it's not some sunk investment. And even if it was, I guess this is the final thing, even if it was a wholly sunk investment, you reach a point where it's all gone, you still needed it for years to get to that point. So then it becomes a good investment. You got your value, right? You still drive, it's like if you have to buy a car and eventually, in 8 years, that car is not going to be good, but that car got you to work every day to 8 years so you can make enough money to get the new car, to get rid of the old car. You're happy you had that car. And that's the OG gear. Well, thank you so much, Boozer. You got any final thoughts? This was a lot of fun. And I really appreciate it because we turned this around pretty fast. I think I messaged you like a day or two ago and you're like, yeah, let's do it. Like, when can we do it?
Yeah.
So that was awesome.
Yeah, sometimes I'm free, and then then you're obviously very flexible, so it helps. We just slot it in. So yeah, thanks for reaching out and making this happen. It's it's an interesting topic, and I think there's probably more things you can actually talk about. How it's different from an early, a mid, and then how it's different for endgame players and what they spend their energy on. I get asked that question once in a while as well, and you definitely see a stark difference with where you put your energy. But maybe we'll save that for another video. But thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate your time as always. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, guys. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we definitely left a couple stones unturned. Obviously, there is the future for everyone that's going to be the Sand Devil and the Shogun. And then we didn't really talk about Spider, where I think this is a clear power creep, where it's just like, yeah, the bonuses you get from those accessories, it's hard to compete, even if the stats from this are way better. But thank you. This was a ton of fun. Guys, like I said, Boozer's info is going to be linked in the description as well as the top pinned comment. I appreciate y'all taking the time to watch our video. So definitely go check him out. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Share with your mother, and we'll see you real soon. Bye.
Fastidious.